Right, let's talk about The Simpsons. For over 3 decades, this animated family has entertained us with their antics in Springfield. But lately, they've earned a new title. Prophets of our time. That's right, alongside their regular diet of donuts and Duff beer, The Simpsons seem to have a knack for predicting the future. Bizarre, I know. Now, I'm not talking about vague pronouncements about the world ending looking at you, Nostradamus. I'm talking about specific, eerily accurate predictions. Things like, the outcome of presidential elections or the invention of technology that seemed impossible at the time. You might dismiss it as mere coincidence, but the sheer volume of accurate predictions is starting to feel a bit spooky. It's enough to make even the most hardened cynic wonder, are the writers at The Simpsons secretly time travelers, or are they just really good at this whole satire thing? Let's dive into the evidence, shall we? And maybe, just maybe, we can separate the duff from the premonitions. Let's rewind to the year 2000. The Simpsons air an episode called Bart to the Future. In this episode, Lisa Simpson is President of the United States, all well and good except for one tiny detail. She inherits a budget crisis from her predecessor, one Donald Trump. Fast forward 16 years, Donald Trump, reality TV star and business mogul, is elected President of the United States. Coincidence, you tell me. The internet, predictably, went bonkers. Memes were made, articles were written. The Simpsons writers, meanwhile, were probably just sitting back with smug smiles on their faces. But it wasn't just the prediction itself that was so eerie. It was the context. The episode portrayed Trump's presidency as a national joke, a disaster that left the country in shambles. Sound familiar? Okay, maybe that's a bit on the nose, even for The Simpsons. The Trump prediction is the most famous, sure, but it's just the tip of the iceberg, my friends. The Simpsons have seemingly foretold a whole buffet of future events, big and small. Remember autocorrect? That pesky little feature on your phone that changes duck to ducking at the most inopportune times? Well, guess what? The Simpsons did it first, in 1994. They even predicted the frustration it would cause. And who could forget the infamous tiger attack on Siegfried and Roy? A tragic event, to be sure, but also, weirdly, predicted by The Simpsons years earlier with uncanny accuracy. The list goes on: faulty voting machines, the discovery of the Higgs boson particle, even the horse meat scandal. It's enough to make you wonder if Matt Groening has a magic 8-ball hidden in his office. So, how do we explain all this? Is there a rational explanation? Or are we venturing into the realm of the paranormal? Let's be honest, it wouldn't be the weirdest thing to happen this year. The simplest explanation, of course, is coincidence. With over 700 episodes and counting, The Simpsons have covered a lot of ground. Statistically speaking, some predictions are bound to come true. It's the law of averages, folks. Then there's the argument for sharp writing. The Simpsons has always been known for its satirical take on society. Perhaps the writers are simply very good at extrapolating current trends and imagining their future consequences. They see the writing on the wall, so to speak, but then there's that nagging feeling, that little voice in the back of your head that whispers, what if it's something more? What if the Simpsons writers have tapped into some kind of collective unconscious, some hidden well of knowledge about the future? It's a tantalizing thought, isn't it? Section 5. The skeptics speak. Don't have a cow, man. Now, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Plenty of people remain unconvinced. The skeptics, bless their rational little hearts, have a few arguments of their own. First, they'll point out that not all of the Simpsons' predictions have come true. Although, to be fair, they haven't been wrong about the future of American politics yet. They'll also argue that some of the predictions are a bit of a stretch. Like, sure, that episode about a killer bear might seem prescient now, but wasn't it just a play on Jaws? And then there's the whole issue of confirmation bias. We tend to remember the hits and forget the misses. We see what we want to see, especially when it confirms our belief in the uncanny. So, are we giving The Simpsons too much credit? Are we simply projecting our own anxieties and hopes onto a cartoon family? It's a valid question. Section 6. The believers rejoice. Worst apocalypse ever. On the other side of the coin, we have the believers. These are the folks who see the Simpsons predictions as proof positive that the universe is a strange and wondrous place. They wear tinfoil hats, not because they have to, but because it's fashionable. For them, The Simpsons is more than just a cartoon. It's a cultural touchstone, a reflection of our deepest fears and aspirations. And if that reflection happens to include a few accurate predictions about the future, well, that's just icing on the cake. They'll point to the specificity of some predictions, the sheer improbability of them coming true by chance. They'll talk about the power of the human mind, the unexplored potential of consciousness, and who knows, maybe they're onto something. Maybe the truth is out there, somewhere between Springfield and the Twilight Zone. Section 7, The Power of Satire. A glimpse into the future. But here's the thing about satire, it's often rooted in reality. The best satire holds a mirror up to society, exaggerating our flaws and foibles to make a point. And sometimes those exaggerations hit a little too close to home. When The Simpsons predicted a Trump presidency, they weren't pulling it out of thin air. They were tapping into a very real sense of unease about the state of American politics. They were highlighting the absurdity of a culture obsessed with celebrity and wealth. So perhaps the reason The Simpsons seems to predict the future is that they're actually just really good at understanding the present. They see the cracks in the facade, the underlying currents that are shaping our world, and they're not afraid to point them out, even if it takes a cartoon family to do it. Section 8. The Simpsons predicting the future or shaping it. In the end, the question of whether or not The Simpsons can actually predict the future is perhaps the wrong one to ask. The more interesting question is this: what does it say about us that we're so eager to believe it? Are we so disillusioned with the state of the world that we're looking for answers in a cartoon? Or are we simply wired to find patterns, to seek meaning in the chaos? Whatever the reason, one thing is certain: The Simpsons has earned its place in the pantheon of pop culture prophets. And as long as they keep making us laugh and think and maybe even squirm a little, we'll keep watching. After all, if The Simpsons has taught us anything, it's that the future is a wild, unpredictable ride. And sometimes the best way to face it is with a healthy dose of humor, and maybe a Duff beer or two.